Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrei Shevchenko, and on behalf of the Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform, I want to thank all the journalists who tell the world the truth about our fight for freedom. This time we're having a special event. We have an impressive panel of guests, and we will be talking about the establishment of the inclusive society in Ukraine. Our guests, they have projects that they may boast and they can present. They have plans and they have goals. And I will proceed to our guests. I will ask Ms. Svetlana Boyko, the representative of Yarmiz, to start. Good afternoon. I want to thank all the guests and experts who are visiting us today. I want to thank our defenders for opportunity to live and to keep working. We pondered over the establishment of the inclusive culture in Ukraine for a long time ago, and now we're facing new challenges, and there are a lot of difficult injuries and wounds, and we started creating the guides for practical recommendations. We got engaged the specialists who went that difficult way, and we appreciate that they shared their knowledge with us. Can we introduce our guests? I will pass the microphone to Olga Kwashuk, who represents the International Fund Vidrodzenia or Renaissance. Can you please tell us in detail about the projects that you support? Well, yes, this project is one of the 30 initiatives that our foundation supports together with the European Union. European Union is actually our long-term strategic partner, and it's been 3 years that we're having this project, EU for You Society, European Union for Ukrainian Society, which was aimed at supporting the civil participation in different reforms in national level and local level. And after the beginning of the full-scale invasion, after the 24th of February, we got reoriented many initiatives. We had digitalization, for example. We had some important things. There were more important things, strategic goals. We had to survive and to save the country, and we redirected our main activity. We re-aimed it at the volunteer initiatives. We established the project Hold the Line, and Yarmiz is one of the winners of the contest. And it's important because those are the money of the taxpayers of the European Union, and it shows the solidarity with Ukraine that we have to say to help our defenders. We have to help internally displaced people. The project includes psychological support, legal support for both our defenders and for people who had to leave their homes. And we also have work of the volunteers who work with the help of the defenders to have them protected, and for them to provide clothing, to help paramedics. It's a very complex set of activities, but everybody in their level, we hold the line in this civil front. And Yarmiz, we talked it over with them. It's very important that the communities where our defenders are coming back to, unfortunately not all of them come back without injuries. This trend is still ongoing, so we all have to be ready, both families and the people themselves, because many people feel lost. We need to know how to communicate with them, how to build these cultures so that we grow as the civil society, so that we help each other, that we support each other. And I think the experts today will tell about their recommendations and that those recommendations will be spread all around and heard in every community in Ukraine. Yes, this war made us look at all the issues related to inclusivity in a new way. I'm talking about the heavy injuries among the both military and civil population. And on our panel, we're having the representatives of civil organizations that know profoundly this subject, and we will ask them to tell about their activity and what Ukraine should be ready for. I would ask Olena Chinka, Merited Master of Sports of Ukraine, head of All-Ukrainian NGO United Country. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy I was invited to take part in this project, and I would like to say about the people making difference, because the absence of indifference is the principal thing about this project. It gathered a number of people who care about the subject of injury and about the people who end up in this situation. I live with injury more than 30 years, and it's the first time that we're issuing this kind of guide, and we were helping each other all the time. We were getting together, the mothers of the children born with disabilities, and we were helping each other by just getting united. And this is how we are now, our team. We're having our experience, we have professional knowledge that we can share. We can support people, we can help them survive after the situation of injury, to see the light they can walk towards, that they can understand, that they can live with that. And I want to thank all the specialists, and I hope that our experience will be of help. It will help to live, to keep working, and to get new strength to live on with the God's help, to help with their experience, to help others. In a minute we will try to get one of the other guests connected, and I will ask Olesya Perepechenko, who represents the NGO Modern View, to have a word. Good afternoon. I'm happy to thank everybody for invitation to this studio. I live with impaired view, or I would say even without a view, more than 40 years, but it became something that I achieved in my life, because it seems to me that the loss of vision made me stronger. I had 10 years of my life when I was after school. I was enclosed in myself. I was sitting at home and I was taken care of. And in this guide, all the experts, they input so much their special knowledge, so much of their soul, so much of their advice that they about something they were fighting with and what they achieved by that fight. And I want that during this time when many guys would be coming back from the front lines with heavy injuries, and there will be many civilians heavily injured, I don't want people to lose time, because I understand that those 10 years of my life, there was a colossal abyss between one word and the other. And I want this guide really to help people, because it would be of use to people. It's interesting to read, and it's easy to read. It doesn't contain any heavy scientific terms, because it's made by those who have experience and who live the injuries and with different kinds of disabilities. And I hope it will help people who require this information, who need this support. And I want those guides to become available to all of those that really need them, even now that you take it. And even if a person doesn't read it, they will one way or another get back to it and get interested about it. So we have to deliver this information to the hospitals, to the different agencies, to institutions, but this information should become useful not only that so it doesn't remain on paper, but it is spread in the society and form the society in its inclusive direction, in information space, in space of availability, in creation of conditions for proper conditions for communication, architecture in all directions. I want to thank everybody a lot, and I'm sure that we did a great job, and it will be a very useful result for those who need it. Thank you very much. Joining us in this studio is Maryna Zvyagintseva, who represents the NGO Legal 100. Maria, can you show yourself, please, so that we know where you are? Well, we know that you're here. If we have questions, we will ask you, and we will try to have our participants joining us online. Are we having Yana Kopytina, who represents the Modern View organization? Oh, good afternoon, Yana. What do you have to say? Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear audience. I want to say that I'm concerned with the issue of ergotherapy and physiotherapy for servicemen. Today we have a lot of cases when after the injuries, after the treatment, after the medicines, treatment and surgeries, the patients end up in the crossroads. They don't know where to go next. They don't know how to renew themselves with the help of the specialists or by themselves. They don't know whom to ask. I want to emphasize that the physical therapy and ergotherapy are necessary components of renewal and treatment of the person in a post-war time. We have to teach people how to survive after, for example, amputation of a limb or a loss of sight or loss of hearing, because people end up in new circumstances, in new conditions that they never lived before. And they don't know how to get accommodated to those new conditions. And with the help of this guide, we're trying to work not only with the injured, but with members of their families as well, because we think that we have to teach them to help properly. This help doesn't have to grow into hyper care on the side of the member of the family about the family member who was injured. We have to provide the ways for the person to become self-sufficient and independent even after the injury. Unfortunately, this guide will be useful not only for the servicemen, but now that statistic is such that there is a large number of civil population with injuries, including children. But we input our soul, we input all our effort, even with the power shutdowns. We try to work over it in the best manner possible. And I hope that application of this guide will ease the processes of renewal, rehabilitation for our warriors, of our heroes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to work with such a great team. Thank you. I want to invite Natalya Adamyuk, All-Ukrainian NGO, Ukrainian Society of the Deaf. Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody understands who I am because I use the language of gestures. I would like to emphasize three things today. First is the fact that the project is very, very actual. It's now that the war is going on, when we really, when our warriors come back with injuries, I'm talking not about those only those in the front lines, but those who are by their side who also get injuries. I want to emphasize that we don't have to lose time that can go work against us now during the war. This guide is very valuable. Secondly, the project is very unique. What's its uniqueness? The uniqueness is that really we forecasted, or like we contemplated different problems, different disabilities for the people who require help. Based on our experience, we share our experience, we extend our helping hand, and we extend support so that people have quality life. And third, I would like to say that the principle of equality, whoever had some disabilities, some chronic diseases, they kind of lose their status, their former status of equality. They feel in enclosed space, they feel uncomfortable, they have the feeling of being different. There's no way we can let those feelings develop, in no case. So this guide, it helps everybody to become equal, and those who don't have limbs and those who lose sight or who lose hearing, we all have to be equal with the others, with the physically healthy people. First of all, it should be about equality. Thank you. Thank you. Natalya Kalmykova, Ukrainian Veteran Foundation. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, good afternoon, dear friends, and the audience who joins us online. I want to first of all thank for invitation for this event. It's very timely because talking about injury, talking about inclusiveness, we have to start talking about it now, not when the war is over. Even before the beginning of the full-scale aggression, the inclusivity is a difficult process. Our society was ready to treat people inclusively, and we can see how people treated before formulating, when previously during Soviet times they were saying disabled. Now the people stop and they don't know how to articulate it properly, or they think about how to articulate it properly. And now that there is a full-scale war going on, is the artillery war, is the war where shellings are going on around the cities. We have to develop the new notion of norm, of standard, who is healthy, who is normal. Really nobody. So this is why this conversation in the broad circle, with engagement of the largest number of people possible, to have this fabric of the society sewn together, the people with different injuries who had different experience, to have them united so that they feel like full-fledged members of the society. I'm enticed by the work that we did, the job that we did. I hope that there will be more such events, that we will see more cool stories on TV. The stories where the injury or disease or wound becomes an experience of an advantage over those who did not have such challenges, who did not experience such challenges, and it becomes standard, it becomes normal, that we don't end up in a situation when we don't know how to talk to a person with injury, how to look at a person with injury, so that our children perceive the people in the wheelchairs, that they perceive them normally and not getting wondered, and the parents wouldn't know what to tell them. I want this to become a standard, and thanks to such events, thanks to the guides like this, they have to expand. Svetlana is asking me to tell about the capabilities of the foundation that we established before the war, Ukrainian Veteran Foundation. We started to implement the programs of financing of different initiatives and the members of the veteran families and civil organizations who support those categories of population. We support entrepreneurship, we support businesses. For the next year, we plan to finance, including POHIN, the organizations of disabled people with disabilities, and we call civil organizations who provide the support to the veterans, who help them to undergo rehabilitation, to receive some services. So we provide financing to implement these programs. We didn't put some advantages for any categories because the majority of the veterans, they got back to war. So we understand that the majority of the organizations who will submit to the contest, to the bids, would be less than it would be if it's not for the full-scale invasion. But we know that the people are coming back already. They undergo rehabilitation, they undergo treatment, and they try to reintegrate in the civil life. I don't really like the word rehabilitation. So when we talk about rehabilitation, do we mean that something is wrong about that person? Well, that word, I don't really like it a lot. I like it more the word habilitation, the opportunity to fulfill the people's capabilities, to implement the people's capabilities, and any project that we support, we help to report, we look for mentors if it's necessary for implementation of the project, but we need to achieve the result. And we're interested that the most organizations that work on the ground with the people, they submit and they get this opportunity. Thank you. I want to show the guide we're actually talking about. It consists of 2 books, very concisely contains the practical recommendations for people who undergo rehabilitation or habilitation or adaptation. There is advice of a psychologist, of a lawyer, which may be useful for those people and for the members of their families. And we're communicating with the people who these books are written on, based on whose talent these books are written. If there are questions in the studio, please go ahead. If not, in the pre-word to the book, Yarmiz reminds that the war is going on starting from 2014, but the year 2022 set another standard of challenges, both in terms of their nature, and whoever is ready to answer, what did 2022 change in the sphere that we're talking about now, the scale, the specificity, maybe any new challenges. If anybody is ready to start, and if we're having anybody who is ready to join us on Zoom, please let us know. Tetyana Kryvko, the Ukrainian Society of the Deaf. I have a hearing impairment. I use the hearing aid device. You were asking about the year 2022. What has changed? In my opinion, what changed is that the war became closer to all of us. It's like it entered every house, every home, and it became the threat that can cause some irreparable conditions for everybody. The hearing impairment is the next sensory impairment after the loss of sight, which cardinally changes the way people live. We are talking today that the society should be inclusive. That's true. Inclusivity and the readiness of the society to accept and to be open to the people who have any type of disability is the factor that will save our society and that will help it to stand in this difficult fight. Our society is really very classy. We did a lot during this period until this very day, until today, and we will do even more. But at the same time, for a person who lost hearing during the war, who lost the hearing, their life changes cardinally because they lose a part of information flow. The absence of information is something horrible. You don't know where to go, you don't know what to do. Even during the war, you don't know when the missile is flying, the rocket is flying at you, when the air raid alert is on. It's horrible. And at the same time, this guide, which is written and published, and which I hope will be read by everybody who one way or another faces the problem, they will find some basic solutions, basic answers on about what to do and how to do it. It's very important also for the members of the families who have relatives with disabilities. It teaches how to live with that, how to live on. And this is why I want that this guide reaches every single person in these conditions, every child, every parent, so that every parent can explain confidently to their children why those persons are special. I hope we will not have something that was happening after World War II, when the society was hiding people with disabilities as if they did not exist. I hope that our society will be equal for everybody, no matter what were the consequences of war for them. Maybe somebody has information about the numbers, about the figures. How did the number of Ukrainians increase? I mean, those Ukrainians who require special attention. What figures are we talking about? How are we ready to cover those needs? The Veteran Foundation. As of today, the information about the number of injured and the specificity of the nature of the injuries is sensitive to a number of reasons. The Ministry of Defense does not disclose those figures, but we know that those figures are growing. Maybe there are some specialist evaluation. Well, none of the experts can give you an evaluation, but it's thousands, and it's way more than they were in 2014 or starting from 2014. Well, it's not only about the military, but also about the civilians all across the country. And the nature of disabilities, the nature of injuries. It's not small arms. The fact that it's artillery fights, high intensity combats, during which it's difficult to do medical evacuation, and if there are delays in evacuation, it's difficult to rehabilitate the limbs and other organs. The challenges are huge, and the task is on the government level, on the state level, to provide the treatment and further rehabilitation and the infrastructural changes that will allow people to feel comfortable and not to have restrictions. And another part is the society's personal responsibility. How do I treat a person when I see a person with special needs? Can you explain for a non-military person what does it mean, the artillery that you mean, the new nature of injuries? Well, if a person is wounded by a bullet, it has a special mechanics of action on the body. There is the entrance orifice and the exit orifice. It may damage the life, if it may damage some important organs, but if it's shelling by a powerful ammunition, the damage is way more complex. It may damage a large part of the body, plus it may be a non-explosive injury, and it may be a damage of it may be an explosive damage and something that we call concussion that accompanies the explosions of any intensivity. Its influence on the sensory organs and on the brain, and the influence on the sight, on the hearing, and all those, the balance organs. So all these types of injuries, they multiplied sufficiently now. Do we have any questions in the studio? If so, let us know. And our expertise is growing in the studio. I want to introduce Maryna Syrytsia from Yarmiz. Good afternoon. I'm here, and joining us in this studio is Alexander Voznuk, the head of a legal group, and I want to call everybody who has anything to say, please take the microphone. We earlier introduced Maryna Zvyagintseva. Do we have any questions in the studio? If not, I will have a question maybe to wrap up our discussion. Oh, there is a question in the studio. Just a small second. I was listening very attentively. I like the questions that were asked. Do we have any statistics about the number of the people who require such type of support? I support this question because in our Ukrainian Society of the Deaf, we don't have such figures. I was saying about the actuality of this project and of the guide that time works against us. I was saying this, so I want these people to be saved. This information shouldn't be closed. Provide this information to the people. Give it to the Ukrainian Society of the Deaf, and we're ready to help them. We're ready to work with them so that they have hope for better, at least hope for better life. Your questions, please. Thank you very much for this event, for this meeting. I see people who gathered here, they know how to do the rehabilitation for the amputees, for the people who lost their sight, their hearing. This guide is incredibly useful, but for what I know, practice is important too. It's important to have a mentor, an instructor nearby. Is it going to be another step in this project? First of all, this guide contains QR codes which redirect to a number of videos with practical advice, with practical trainings, how to get accommodated. And further on, we would like to join our efforts of our organizations and of the society and government, and to establish the training center, which we would call a way to the self-sufficient life. So our specialists and instructors work, and they help the people. They help those people who get disability to get them adapted, to find motivation to renew and live full life. This is how we want to establish our centers, so it's convenient and comfortable. And with the veteran spaces, if we're talking about the combatants and their family members, it's a very important question, the establishment of our veteran spaces, and we are part of a coalition of the veteran spaces, and we discussed that issue. And the people who were taking part in the combats, in the war operations, we want already to start doing it, and we hope that we will get united and we will make it. Miss Tetyana and then Miss Olga. And if we put it concisely, we will be able to ask another question. I would like to emphasize that concerning the people who lose their hearing, our organization is ready to promote already now, no matter if there is a project or not. Almost in every regional center we have employees, and we have centers who are ready to react to the requests. Olga Kvashuk, yeah, we were talking about the challenges that 2022 made us face, and really for the healthcare system, we need to learn a lot new things, and psychologists and social workers who provide advice. This type of patients, it's not everybody who's ready to work with them. We have a project that we, for example, developed with Kyiv Mohyla Academy. We prepare a training course for psychologists and social workers, how to work with the people who have war injuries, are defenders, and the people who had to experience all those horrors. And we work with the TEPS Foundation. We're about to issue the Sorrow Guide, is the guide for those who are waiting for their closed ones to come back from war, for whose closed ones, whose family members are missing in action. It's very important, and the advice for the draft offices, how they communicate. There should be some culture standard implemented that some may not even be aware of, so that this is a complex of works, and we support the work of psychologists in different regions. We work with the Veteran Spaces Network, and we hope that we will continue to provide this support, this support to this initiative. Olena Chinka. I would like to return to the civilians. I'm a person who lives without two legs for more than 20 years. Something changed there, but in terms of prosthesis, that we have it on the level that it should be existing, on a good level. The specialist, we have to establish the school of walking. We don't have it today. Konstantin Riflevsky, my prosthesis doctor, he's present here, and we talk about this project for a long time. We want to make the prosthesis center in Ukraine, which is still non-existent at all, and it's my personal sorrow that until now we're in this square one. The doctors don't cooperate with the prosthesis specialists. They make amputations in such a way that the person cannot get back on stand on their feet and live an active life. And is the problem that has to be solved, because even before the war this problem existed, and it's even bigger now, but it's not being solved. It has to be done. It has to be done together with the state, but for the time being it's been mostly taken care by the people who are not indifferent about this, who care about this. And I have a hope. We were talking with Yarmiz that based on this wonderful, on the basis of this wonderful rehabilitation center, we will establish a walking school. And I'm fond of art therapy that inspires people. It gets them back to real life. I'm practicing the wheelchair dance, and let's work all together. Let's just act. And the people who gathered here, they are people of action. So let's not wait for anything or anybody. Let's just go ahead. Because if not us, then who? Who can make it? And only those who walk will walk the way. Maryna Syrytsia, Yarmiz. Just 20 seconds of your time. I appreciate Miss Natalya's and Miss Olga's words, because really we have to walk on. Our Modern View NGO, together with the National Assembly of the People with Disabilities, we established the information consultancy hubs for the people with the impairment of sight and amputations and the injuries, back injuries. This information is available. There are postings in the hospitals, and we started working with the people who got injuries and with their family members. We disseminated the information, and they started calling us themselves. And when we just established this initiative, the consultants, the people with sight impairment, they provide information either to the family members or to the people who lose their sight. That's the equal information, eye to eye. They call us, they text us in the messengers, and they ask us any kind of information. Something very elementary, like, is there life for the blind ones? Yes, there is life, and there is happy life for those who lost their sight. So you understand those steps that we take. We can offer a lot of things, we can do a lot of things, and it's pleasant that many foundations, they train the specialists, but the first step is anyway made by the person who got an injury. And the family member, very frequently the mothers call, I appreciate your words, but we're having our next event in 5 minutes, so please, I ask everybody, please call us, please text us, please appeal to us, even with the questions that seem weird. Maybe call to any organizations and ask them. The development exists, and it should exist. Maryna Syrytsia, Maryna, can you please tell us, are we becoming better as the society? I appreciate your words. As a society, we have to remember that nothing heals better than the relations. And as the society, we have to be ready for such relations that may be new to us. But the understanding of the inclusivity is the engagement, its involvement, and the understanding of the fact that each of us are ready to get involved in the relations when we are understood, when we are heard, and we feel safe. And I propose everybody to realize that the understanding of the people with the problems that they got, that they can experience in different emotional states, us as the society, the guys that help, that inform, that teach us how to understand, they have to create this atmosphere of safety at the level like, I am hearing you, I feel you, I understand you in all the ways that I can understand you. I'm by your side and I'm here for you. And I think this is how our society will win any war and will overcome any obstacles, any challenges we're facing now. Thank you, and glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Thanks. I want to thank all the participants. I want to draw the attention to this book once again that our guests brought here. Thank you for what you're doing. We're having quite a unique set of activists and professionals. And I want to invite everybody to follow our announcements. Our next event is in 3 minutes. Thank you. Stand with Ukraine.